Justice has come for the traitor legions. They turned their backs on the oaths they swore to protect the Imperium. They betrayed the Emperor and the Imperial dream of reuniting humanity and conquering the stars. Now the fires of retribution are spreading. They will be cast down from the very mountain they sought to conquer. The Loyalists have arrived and they seek vengeance. One of the great things that we're now beginning to see is the revenge of the Loyalist Imperial forces that have been spread around the galaxy. With Horus and the majority of the traitor legions now sieging Terra, hoping to bring down the Emperor and the Imperium, these Loyalist scattered forces have begun to come together and take the fight back towards the traitors. Now, some of these have actually been covered in the latest White Dwarf magazine. I've done videos dedicated to them. This one is just like that, but this is about the end game, the biggest one out of it, which is the Siege of Barbarus. Now, for those of you who don't know what's really going on, I'm just going to give you a little brief summary. So, Lion L. Johnson has been unleashed. Yes, the Lion is here. He is at the head of this retribution fleet. He started with killing the moon of Davin, where the Horus heresy actually began, where Horus was taken in his wounded state and he was given these visions of the Emperor betraying, and he basically said, right, I'm going to kill the Emperor. He started with that planet, completely annihilated it. Then he went to Chemos, homeworld of the Emperor's children, homeworld of Fulgrim himself, absolutely devastated and ruined that planet. Then he went to Horus's homeworld, Cophonia. There, the Imperial first were actually fighting on it, and what happened is basically the Lion blew it up as well, because the Lion is the Lion. And now he has arrived at Mortarian's world, the Death Guard's world, that is Barbarus. But it's not just the Lion. He has now linked up with his brother Primarchs. He's met with Corax. Corax is giving him weapons and some of his troops, but also Leman Russ and the Space Wolves are now fighting alongside Lion L. Johnson. And in the background, we're just going to read the little blurb of text that comes along with the Siege of Barbarus. It's called The Siege of Barbarus Begins. And by the way, we're actually going to get the sequel to this now in the next White Dwarf magazine that's going to be released next month. So this is building into quite a big lore campaign. We haven't seen this before. Hopefully we get more details of this covered in an actual book. But this states a vast Loyalist armada breaks from the warp into the Barbarus system, spearheaded by Lion L. Johnson's Gloriana class flagship, the Invincible Reason. Alongside the fleet of the 1st Legion sail the warships of the 19th Legion, those belonging to the Raven Guard, those of the 6th Legion of the Space Wolves, led by their Primarch Leman Russ. The Loyalist armada smashes through the scant few remaining Death Guard ships that stand in defiance of their homeworld to obliterate the inner system defenses platforms and orbital stations, and at last reach the Barbarus orbit. Swarms of Death Guard Stormbirds and Thunderhawks rise from the planet's surface to mount a futile attack runs in a desperate bid to give their brothers on the ground time to prepare for the coming invasion. But they are swiftly shot down by mass formations of interceptor craft launched from the bays of Raven Guard cruisers, sheltering behind the multiple layers of void-shielded defenses. The Death Guard and their allies look up as the pale sun of Barbarus is eclipsed by scores of falling drop pods and swarms of orbital landing craft that bring the wrath of 2 Primarchs and warriors from 3 Loyalist legions to the surface of Barbarus. This is actually giving me chills, as it's just said there at the end. We now have 3 Loyalist legions that have of the Raven Guard, the Space Wolves, and of course the Dark Angels. You could argue that there's going to be 4 legions there, because we do know that Lionel Johnson picked up a big contingent of the Imperial Fist, who were seeking aid of the Lion when Inuit came under siege by the traitor forces. But instead of aiding the Imperial Fist, Lionel Johnson basically kidnapped the Imperial Fist and put him into his service instead. And I think the really cool thing about this is that Games Workshop are going to invest a lot into this campaign, which again will hopefully become a book series, because I'd love to get this in more detail, but hopefully a series where you can actually play this on the tabletop as well. They have confirmed that in next month's White Dwarf article, they are going to be carrying this on. This is just the start. The Siege of Barbarous Begins is just the start. The image in the background now is taken from a preview of next month's one. It's called The Fate of Barbarous, and you can just make out some of the text. It is a bit blur, but the big text on the top right states, in his quest for vengeance, Lionel Johnson leads an army of loyalists against the traitor forces stationed on the Death Guard homeworld of Barbarous. In the first article of this mini-series, we introduce 6 hobbyists keen to recreate this cataclysmic battle. Now, what that means is basically they're going to show it off how this battle is, but they're also going to be giving you the option to try this out with your friends as well, which again, I think is going to be epic. And even if you're not a gamer, the lore side of these are going to be absolutely amazing. You've seen what I've done through the past week now, talking about certain aspects of the lore taken from these White Dwarf magazines, about the Imperial Fist being betrayed by the Lion. Yes, I am still salty. The Lion meeting up with Korax, we never knew that happened. They had a little council where the Lion questions Korax's loyalty, because he's not been really taking the fight to the traitor legions. Now, all these little things that we never knew about are coming through in these little blurbs of like timelines and stuff, which I absolutely love. And they're going to be carrying that on, because the Solar War has been going on for like 3 years now. Well, according to these White Dwarf articles, and what we're going to be having is, of course, all the other traitor legions and the loyalist forces that are spread around the galaxy. They're still fighting this war. Not everyone has gone to the siege, so hopefully they can expand on that and bring more epic battles of legions of the Imperial army, Custodes, Sisters of Silence, and Mechanicus, all the armies that we love, and we can actually see epic battles spread out and get other scenarios to play and also read about. And just to circle back to the Siege of Barbarous, I expect some big things to happen with this, because we've got 2 Primax here, we've got 3 Loyalist legions, we've got the Death Guard. I'm sure the Death Guard are going to do some absolute shenanigans where Nurgle gets involved, maybe, you know, demons and stuff pop up to help them to battle Leman Russ and the Lion. Because don't forget, the Leman Russ and the Lion arrived too late at the Siege of Terror. Was this the battle that basically hung them up so they couldn't be there for the final act to help the Emperor? This is why the Lion ended up stabbing Leman Russ in the ruins of the Siege of Terror. I would say his guilt more than anything, because he wasn't actually there to help the Emperor. Is this the reason why? Is this where it all stems from? So yeah, there's certain, well, there's certainly a lot of things to look forward to, lore-wise and, again, as I say, tabletop-wise, from these articles, and I cannot wait to read it and to see what's bloody going on. Anyway, Chaperoonios, I'm just going to leave the video there. Thank you for coming, thank you for watching. If you've got any thoughts, feedback, anything like that, what kind of campaigns would you like to see in the Horrors Heresy? What kind of campaigns would you like to see during the Siege of Barbarous? Would you like, I don't know, maybe a greater demon of Nurgle to pop up and fight Leman Russ or Lionel Johnson? I would love to see like some, you know, the biggest and the most meanest things Nurgle can throw at these Primarchs to happen. And, you know, Leman Russ and Lionel Johnson basically just tag team them. You've got 2 of the most fiercest combatants when it comes to Primarchs together. Surely something amazing is about to happen. Anyway, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Enough waffling. See you now. Have a great day, and bye-bye.